Okay, this is lesson 57 and this is Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. Now, basically Maslow said if work can be organised to satisfy all of these specific needs, then workers are going to be much more productive. Okay, so what are those different levels? They are physical needs, safety needs, social needs, esteem needs and self-actualisation. Now, as we go through these physical needs, food, shelter, etc., safety needs, no physical dangers at work, health and safety at work, social needs, family, trust, good social relationships, esteem needs, recognised for what you do in the workplace, and lastly that you can achieve your full potential at work, and this is what we call self-actualisation. And this changes in a job all of the time. If you really want to achieve things, then your motivation is going to change, because when you start out you may have this idea, I want to do this, and in 5 years time you may want to do that. So somehow you need to get into what you are trying to do in terms of your organisation. Now that's going to be different for every single individual, so the organisation will have to try and find that out, but hopefully the organisation can align itself with the individual. I suppose it's your job to make sure that you join an organisation where you may have the possibility of achieving one's full potential. But you're actually doing pretty well if you get respect from others, status, recognition, and you can also achieve things at work. You're going to be pretty happy, and we call those esteem needs from there. Okay, so this is Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. If an organisation can fulfil physical, safety, social esteem and self-actualisation, then you are in fact going to have a more motivated worker. This is lesson 57 and this is Hertzbergs' two-factor theory. Now Hertzberg split motivations theory into two sections. You need to create motivators, all the way down here, which are really important, and you also need to have hygiene factors. Now the motivators are what really motivates an individual to go out and work. So they are achievement, recognition from others, work itself, and responsibility and advancement. So workers need to have all those motivators in place. However, they also need to have the hygiene factors in. So you need to get a decent salary, you need to work with colleagues that you like, maybe not too much supervision, and you need to have the right working conditions. So there are two things you need to look at. You need to get the hygiene factors correct, and you need to get the motivators correct. He then went on to talk about, in a way, job design and job enrichment and what people needed from their jobs. And they need complete units of work, they need a range of different jobs, and they need feedback on performance. And if you create all of those three things, then you are going to have a motivated worker. So whenever you're reading a case study, you've got to think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it'll just be one sentence. Well, according to Maslow, you need to reach self-actualization, so therefore you need to get the workers to fulfill their potential, so you need to find out what they really want to do, and at the same time we get this idea of you need to sort out their hygiene factors, maybe they're unhappy with their salary, but you also need to put motivators in place. So when you read a case study, you need to assess the motivation theories in relation to that particular case study. And we are now going to look at, just checking the syllabus, we're now going to look at Taylor's theory. Lesson 57, and here we're looking at Taylor's scientific management theory. Now, Taylor's scientific management is really quite an old-fashioned sort of theory, and it basically says, particularly for the West, and it says that the people are motivated by money, so therefore you pay them by piece rate. What piece rate means is the more that they produce, the more money that you give them, and that is because man is obviously just motivated by money. So therefore we make their jobs very simple. We monitor in terms of what they do, what they produce. If they produce more, therefore we pay them more. If they produce more, therefore they're more productive, therefore the cost of the firm go down, therefore we make more profits. So, and there's lots of analysis involved, and it's really suits itself to picking strawberries or the manufacturing sector. So lots of analysis. So you select the workers to perform a task, you work out the best way of doing that particular job, then you train them, you analyse that task, you supervise the workers, and you pay the workers on the basis of their results. So this is based on the idea of economic man, and that man is motivated by money, and you select the right people, observe and record, and then establish the best method of doing a job, and you pay them via a piece rate system. Okay, this is Taylor's theory. So what we've really covered so far is are these three things here. We've covered Maslow's, which I think is pretty important in terms of the top level, is you need to work out what really motivates people, and then you can design the job that fulfills those requirements. You also need to look at Hertzbergs motivators. And finally, we've got Taylor's scientific man, which is probably a little bit out of date now, but is still relevant maybe in certain industries. So if we look at all those three things on there, right, we have the ways in which you can motivate people to work harder. This is the final session here on lesson 57, and this isn't directly in the AQA syllabus, but I think it's well worthwhile looking at. The first of these is management can look at workers in terms of theory X or theory Y workers, and if workers are theory X, then you're going to devise a different system for them, and it's probably going to be on the basis of the Taylorite approach that I've just discussed. So this is that the workers are inherently lazy, they don't dislike work, and they're motivated by money. They're very much of the idea of economic man. So therefore you design a Taylorite approach to them. You give them a simple task to do, you tell them to that task, you pay them via a piece rate system, and they go away and they work hard for you. However, if workers are theory Y, which sort of fits in really with Hertzbergs, motivators, job recognition, achievement orientated, then workers are creative, they like a challenge, they like promotion, so therefore you need to design the work like that. So that is therefore much more Hertzbergs on there. And over here, okay, so that's theory X and theory Y. So management need to look at their workers and decide what sort of workers you have. We also have another theorist called Mayo, and his big contribution was really against Taylor's theory, was that workers like working in teams. And it's not money that will motivate them. They want recognition, they want to be listened to. So in a way, this links in with the Kaizen approach that I've discussed in operations management, is where the workers meet up together, they decide how they can increase productivity. You have time on the bottom and productivity going up here, and you go along the idea of continuous improvement. And finally on here we have McClelland, and McClelland is three things on here, and I think it's quite an interesting one because he says different individuals will be motivated by different things. So some individuals are motivated by just achieving things, right? Some individuals are motivated by authority and power, and finally some individuals are motivated by the fact that they need to feel that they belong to a really good institution. So you need to look at the individuals to work out what they're doing, but in terms of business, although these ones take up a lot of time, those are sort of individuals that you want. Okay, so that's just his theory as well on there. So obviously motivating people is quite a complex thing. I've just given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different theories to have a look at. Okay, thank you very much.